job since I have her. Like, I have no help at all. All
And this is really difficult for you to raise her alone.
Yes.
Ms. Sugden, you said.
The next song needs no introduction. The other day in rehearsal, Aretha began to sing it. And when she got to the part that says, through many dangers, and I looked over at her and saw the tears rolling out of her eyes. Because never did we think, I think 20 years ago, that God would do great things for us. Can I get a witness here tonight?
Morning, good morning, good morning. Praise God for all you beautiful people this morning. Giving God thanks for allowing us to see another day. Thanking Him for waking us up in our right mind, keeping us safe and unharmed as we rest in our resting places last night. In our traveling mercy that He has given us, His traveling grace. Thanking Him for food He had prepared for the nourishment of our bodies. Thanking Him for the clothes He's given for the covering of our bodies. Thanking Him for every financial blessing He had bestowed upon upon us. Thanking Him for every blessing that had came from above, for His spiritual blessings. Thank you, God. Thank you. Thank you. If I had 1,000 tongues, I couldn't know how to thank Him enough for His goodness, mercy, favor, and His grace. Another year of 2026. From 1776 of what our ancestors had endured into another 200, 2026 years. From 1776 to 2026 of the 250 years that we celebrate our lives being here in America, being recognized as who we are, as foundational Black America. And yes, we are going through a season right now in our life, politically and spiritually, more spiritual than anything, because there's a lot of things that we lost along the way. We lost remembering and honoring our elders. We get so busy in our own lives with whatever we're doing and get so stuck there that we forget about those who helped us along the way. Those who made a way for you out of no way. Those who sacrificed for you. Whether you knew them personally or not. Their story is being played out in front of you every day that you live and open your eyes to see another day. Your history is being played. Starting from your life at home and your extended family, your community, and the nation that you serve. I don't know how parents pour into their children today, especially more my age. We are grandparents right now. So we are helping those who are coming up behind us, this generation. The millenniums and the Generation X babies and the baby boomers are basically the ones right now who are the elders. And then comes the Generation X. And then we go down to the Generation Millenniums, Alphas, and so on. Generation Z, whatever. And a lot of these kids from this generation, Millennium, I wouldn't even say the Millenniums. I would say the Alphas and the Generation Z babies. Some of them got it, but it's more that don't got it. Like God said, many are called, but very few are chosen. And I come from a large family. But out of my siblings, we didn't have a lot of children. My parents had a lot of children. Because in their time, that's what they did. That was something that was in there at the time, was what was considered the lifestyle then. Every generation is different. Okay? Every generation is different from where they left off in their experience. So my parents didn't have a peachy clean life. They started out very young with the life of being parents, but they had a lot of support to raise a large number of children, their children. They didn't do it alone. And that's why I do celebrate Black History Month, Christmas, and I do my birthday memorials of my elders. For my mother's birthday, and of course it was Huey Newton birthday, and that's something I just discovered this year because I never knew when Huey Newton was born. I just knew he was here. But when I found out and realized his birthday was on the same day as my mother, I said, wow, that's another part I can add to my celebration when I celebrate my mother's memorial. When I celebrate her life, I can celebrate Huey's life right along with her because it's on February the 17th and it's in the month of Black History Month. So that is a blessing to me. Okay. For my mother's celebration, of course, I did a lot of celebrating her through my mother's children, which are my siblings. We all shared the same womb. So what I do is I make sure by seeing her, I celebrate them, seeing her characteristics. And that's how I get my strength. And that's how I know my mother's presence is still here with me. And she's still watching over me from the heavens, and she appreciates the things that I still continue to do in her honor. Both my parents, but I think I celebrate my mother more because I had her around my life longer than I did have my dad around my life longer. I only had him until I was 12, but I still got a lot of memory of him, and I go through photos and moments and all of that other stuff, and I, get a more broader understanding of what went on during that time. So I just wanted to just share that with y'all this morning about on why we should honor our elders and hear their story. Every story changes through generation because everybody went through different experience. You could come from the same tree but all have your different experiences with life and how you see in your own perspective. I see my life. I come from a rich heritage, my ancestry. I know who I am. I know I came from African with ancestry somewhere along the line from my family that probably came here from Africa. That I can't deny. Okay, is all in my features. I can't deny that African is in me. Ancestry is in me. I can't deny that. I'll be a fool. And I know there's other things that are in me too, because I wasn't born in Africa. I wasn't raised in Africa. I don't speak the language. I'm familiar with the culture. Of course, I'm familiar with the culture. And that culture I got familiar with when I got married to a Nigerian many years ago, when I was in my youth, and I adapted some things from that culture, and I got familiar with some things in that culture, and I got familiar with some of the foods, some of the language, and things of that nature. With my husband, some of the Nigerian culture, and if I didn't meet him, I would have never been able to know these things because Nigerians don't come here to teach their culture. They don't. A lot of them don't. They try to hide their identity. They try to look more like they're American than they are Nigerian. And that's the reason why I think a lot of foundational Black Americans have a problem with Nigerians. You trying to cosplay us all the time, but you never trying to tell us who you really are. And that makes me feel suspicious of you. Why are you trying to be me and not you? Okay, that's the problem I have with more. They always trying to compete with us. They seem to go so hard at competing to be more American, more looking like American, more acting like American, more dressing like American than they are trying to stay in their true identity. And that's the problem. Yes, we all probably have some ancestry, some African ancestry, but for us Black Americans, our lives have been different across the borders. We did not grow up in Nigeria. We do not speak your language. We may have adapted some of your foods, like my mother's red rice that I cooked the other day for her birthday, from her Gullah roots, from her roots down in Charleston, South Carolina. I only cook those certain dishes on certain special days. I don't do them every day. The red rice, the cabbage, and the turkey wings smothered, or baked or whatever. I just don't do it all the time. These are dishes that I do only during certain seasons of the year. And when I'm celebrating my mother's birthday, I have to put food on the table that identifies with her roots and her culture and her heritage from Charleston, South Carolina. That's where she came up from. She came from Charleston, South Carolina. Okay? Jesse Jackson, why it touches me so deeply? Because when I was coming up as a child, Jesse Jackson was my hero. Okay? To see somebody like him during my time in the 70s, when I was in elementary school, someone to come and speak at my elementary school. See, our elementary school in New York was done totally different. Graduations were done totally different from a lot of other places. Every other state had a different way of how they did things. But I know in the time when I graduated from not high school, my elementary school graduation, as I was coming up, he was the guest speaker for my graduation in the Bronx, in the South Bronx. Okay, in 1978, he was there. You are somebody. You are somebody. I am somebody. Just say, and he did that, and it's all documented. I don't know if it was at my school where they did that video of showing him at a graduation and some children event or children's ceremony, but he was at my elementary school graduation, and I remember. And when I got to high school is when I was coming to register to vote, and I was learning about politicians. I didn't know much about politics. I never really paid attention to other things in politics. Of course, in school when I was coming up, they taught us American history. We learned it all the way from the beginning of our president, George Washington, and what took time during 1776. We did the bicentennial. I remember the bicentennial year that we had in 1976. I remember our bicentennial year celebration. That's how far I can go back in my memory of my history coming up in Black America. And when I say Black America, coming up and having the Black experience in America, knowing my history. And a lot of you don't know your history. You got caught up with other cultures and adapted to other cultures, eating other culture foods. You got mad with family members. You shut them off for a long period of time, lost communication with them, and lost a lot about you. You ain't hurting them. You're hurting you. Because you, as long as you live, you better know who you are in this world. That's why you see the fools that out there now that were protesting in the streets with ICE agents, where something is already in place for this to protect our borders and to come for those who come and sneak into our country and commit crimes and that are not supposed to be here. We're not talking about the ones who came here on legal status. We're talking about the ones who came here illegally, that's living here illegally, and they've been living here for a very long time without you even knowing it. When it was done for President Obama and when it was done for President Clinton and all the others, they done the same thing. Protect our borders. President Obama, President Clinton, all of them said the same thing when they were going into office as becoming presidents. They were very clear on their immigration policy. Every president should be clear on that. Even, I don't know about Joe, but I know one thing. When I watched the debate between Joe Biden, even though his mind was becoming his cognitive dissonance, okay, he was going through that moment of his life in which I don't think the Democrat Party should have ever allowed him to run again for any position in leadership, especially presidency, because that put our country in a lot of danger. When someone's mind is not working right and they got cognitive dissonance and they having memory loss and we're not mad because we know that some things might be a little bit too extreme, but some things unnecessary. And like I said, they knew Biden was in his condition wasn't well. They knew his mind wasn't functioning right. But out of their hardness of their heart, and out of the ignorance of their reasons for wanting to continue to stay in power, the reasons they wanted to continue to stay in power, they put him there. And then they're going to allow him to choose Kamala as their vice president. And her job was to watch the border. Who's coming in this country? That job. But I don't know what else she was assigned to do. But I know that was a very important job that she must have been prioritizing, is the borders. We're not saying as American people we don't welcome immigrants. We do. But we don't welcome those who break in. That's what people need to understand. Those who break in as criminals. By breaking in is a criminal. As not being documented, you are a criminal. We don't know who you are. We don't know your reasons for wanting to be here. That what people need to understand. Now back to what I'm talking about as far as with Jesse Jackson, the loss of Jesse Jackson, and some of the disrespect I've seen going on online about some of the things that people have to say that they didn't like about him. I like everything about Jesse Jackson, but how he fell off is when he allowed other people that did not have shared the same experiences with us to be a part of this so-called rainbow coalition and this push. We needed to take care of Black America first before we allow anybody else to join us in our struggle. That's when the confusion steps in. That's when the division steps in. Because they cannot relate to our history and our story the way that we can. They cannot feel it the way that we can. That's why Shabuzi and this other dude, the nonsense that the Democrat Party been doing, trying to erase history, trying to rewrite the story or change America to fit their agenda. And they don't, because they don't like President Trump. Let the man do his job. President Trump is out of order. When some things are out of order with him, there's a way we can correct it. But still allow him to be the president of our United States, to keep our United States America together. We have help there if we need help. If we need to talk to him, we have people in place that you might feel more comfortable bringing your issues to, that may can address them to President Trump for you. You don't have to get online and say the most horrible, degrading, and disgusting things that you can think about your leaders. You don't have to do that. You don't have to cuss at them. You don't have to use foul language. We don't have to do that. I know sometimes emotions get high, but you have to control the things that you say out of your mouth. Every sleeping eye is not closed. We have children. You are leading your children. You are leading another generation of leaders. And you have to set that example in your household, online, in the street, wherever you go. You have to show yourself as a sacrifice and as an example. You do not have to get online and say F you about, I'm sorry, the horrible things they said about Jesse Jackson. Some people got online and said, not everybody. Just some people are just that ignorant. You don't have to agree with all his politics. But I'm going to tell you one thing. From what I do know, he remained faithful as a servant of God. Whether he did good or whether he did bad, he remained faithful and committed to the work in his calling. Yes, there was other things they was allowing to come in because they want to help everybody. And when you on a path like this, especially through the trauma that he had to endure and what he had to experience in his time as a young man, He give his story. That's why it's important to pay attention to their story before you pass judgment, because you're still here. You don't know how the end is going to be. And you don't know what blocking, or I'm sorry, what kind of things are going to come across your path that you're going to have to make, even some decisions you don't really want to make, but you make them anyway, just so that you can get, and then we could try to take care of it later on. Because we can't catch everything. We're not God. We're not perfect. We weren't made to be perfect. God don't choose perfect people. He choose imperfection. But as you go along, he fashions you. You learn as you go along on your path. We don't sit around and say any horrible thing about Jesse Jackson the way I heard some people get out here and say some nasty, and it came mostly from black mouths than it came from anybody else's mouth. You could keep that personal stuff to yourself, but you don't have to bring it out here. Okay? There's a lot of things I didn't agree about Jesse Jackson. Like I said, the Rainbow Coalition, I'm not with that. I'm not with supporting and promoting a lifestyle or any kind of thing. If you're going to include that stuff in it for political, I don't want no part of it. Okay? Because there's some things that I've been taught, and I know, and I've witnessed it for myself, that don't align up with God. And if it don't align with God, I don't attach myself to it in no kind of way. Like I said, I will honor Jesse Jackson in his work and what he's done in my life for me, in my growth, in my education, and how he inspired me. But what goes down with him goes down with his work is finished, is closed. As far as children that want to continue to build on his work with this Rainbow Coalition and want me to be a part of some other political fight with them, no can do. Who I will try to stay on the line with and who I will continue to follow in the building of their work will be the King family. In my own way, in ministry or whatever, is the King family. I will continue to support their work at the MLK Martin Luther King Jr. Center that's out there in Georgia. I will continue to support what they need to do for to help the lives of, but I have to do more research. Anything that has anything to do with some homosexual life for the LGBTQ community, I don't want to be a part of that. I have lesbians, I have homosexuals, whatever in my family. But I don't want to be pushing that agenda to the world that it's okay. No, I'm not going to do that. That's something they have to work out personally with God. And I'm not getting in God's way with that. Okay? So they can go away with that. But as far as work for humanity, and when I talk about civil rights, I'm talking about if anybody being violated, constitutional rights or whatever, even if they are homosexual. Now that, and if they was being attacked or bullied, yes. As a human being, yes. But me to go and promote same-sex marriage and same-sex relationship, raising families and not the norm for the nuclear family, I'm not attaching myself to that. Anything to promote the lifestyle, to be a lifestyle, to be considered, well, normal, yes, but we got to correct it. I won't promote single motherhood. I won't promote that either. I won't promote promiscuous behavior in no sort of way. Anybody that's going to say, oh, it's okay for women to go out there and have as many kids as she wants, no matter who the fathers are. I'm not going to sit up there and tell that lie. Because I got to think about the child. Not her or him, but the child. See, I go more deeper than the surface. But what I'm saying here is that I will honor Jesse Jackson's life. I will never disrespect him in any sort of kind of way, even in his death. Because I could remember from a child growing up, him being at my graduation in elementary school, and from there I followed a lot of his work, even from high school. I came out, I registered to vote, and I voted not for him one time, but twice when he ran for presidency. That's before he got with all the other stuff, and they try to put into his movement certain people, and it may not have been him. It was probably him rejecting it, but it was them trying to force it in from the Democrat Party, because that's what they do. If y'all don't do it, then we go get somebody to replace y'all that will do it. And that's why these Africans, Nigerians, and these foreigners be going so hard at cosplaying us to replace us, but it won't work. Because spirit knows spirit. Okay? It won't work. It won't work. It won't stand. It will fall apart because they have no connection to this soil. They have no connection to the stitches that are in that flag but through us. That's it. And if they don't want to follow our way of how we going to do it in America, then they could go back to Nigeria and do it there. Or wherever country they came from, and they could do it there. That's why I say, you ain't come here to fight for no human rights, no civil rights, no nothing. You could go to your own field country, or wherever colonized country or place of the world you came from, and fight to get it right over there. But in America, only people to fight for anything that should be human and civil or wherever in America is the people who came from here. The people who are citizens in the United States of America. But if you voluntarily brought yourself over here to start your life, this is how it is. You don't disrespect our leaders. I don't care what President Trump said. You don't like him. If you feel he's a racist or whatever he is, you could take your butt on back to your country and fight there. You do not disrespect none of our leaders in America. I don't care how ratchet and how whatever they are. If it ain't coming from the mouth of an American, then you ain't got nothing to say. All you can do is pack up and take your butt back to your country. Let America handle their own people and correct them in their own errors. Not you. You didn't come from this soil. You don't know. They had a complex background because some of them did not grow up to be that way. Some of them wasn't born to be that way, but they had a complex, upbringing. Okay? A lot of us had during their time. And I'm talking about the people like Trump. I know deeply in Trump's heart that he don't hate black people. He stayed in black spaces growing up. He was hanging out with the black men and the black people more than he was hanging out with white folks when he was coming up in his time. He wanted to find out for himself who we were. But some things people pour into you when you were a child, it comes back to feel that way. But it's not that way because Trump was raised, he came up in New York and Queens. He stayed in black spaces. He stayed in black proximity. He stayed around Jesse in politics or whatever. They had their differences or whatever it might have been. They might have both called each other all kind of racist names they could think about. And that's the way I look at it because I know Jesse ain't going to sit there and let nobody just call him out of his name without trying to clap back. Oh, Jesse was on fire and he was quick. He was sharp. And neither would Al Sharpton. Okay? So don't y'all get y'all feelings caught up with them two. With Trump. They used to hang with him. They rocked with him. And everything else like that. So don't you get yourself caught up in that. Whatever differences they had with each other is in the grave with Jesse. Trump, and Al Sharpton, he's here. So him and Donald Trump could sit down and break bread and have their conversation together. And work it out. Whatever the problems may be, they got the voice to speak for America. But that Democrat Party is what's hurting them. I don't think no black man or black woman should be running on that Democrat Party and acting the way they've been acting. Especially when they want to fight to get their own people to be heard. Because some of those black voices coming off of that Congress are not representing me. Okay? They not my representative. It's deeper than skin color for me. Okay? It's deeper. I go deeper. So y'all could go ahead and hate on y'all president of the United States of America. Like I said, we have leaders. We voted for Obama. I did for two times. I voted for the Obamas, and I still respect the Obamas in my own way. But I'm not going to sit up here and be blind about it, because I will call it out when I see error. And I think Obama's, and I did celebrate them this President's Week again, and I also celebrated them on Valentine's for what they held up to do for Black America. You don't have to get caught up in Trump. If you're not liking what Trump is doing, follow Obama. Or follow Clinton. Whichever president suits your spirit. You can always address those issues to either one of them for the Democrats. Either you white or you black. You can address it to presidents that have served their terms twice and they're still here with us. Black America, you can call on your boy Obama, and you can let Obama address your issues for you. You hear what I'm saying? He should be the one to talk for you. You don't have to get online and trash no leader, because we all are imperfect people, and we all going to make error as we walk along the way. But we respect our elders. We respect them as they tell their story, because their story is your story. Some things you may not agree with, but it'll get better by and by. There was a song we used to learn when we was in church. It gets better by and by. As you grow older, right now as a young people, I was young too, very young. A lot of things I didn't like, I didn't understand. But as I grew older, now I can look back and I truly understand. I'm not going to sit back and curse out white people. Well, there's some that need to be cursed out. But I'm just going to say this. I'm not going to carry that bitterness in my heart. I break every chain. And that's in your mind, your mentality. That slavery, it happened. We saw the scars. We saw the beatings. We saw the tears. We saw the lynching. We saw all the other things. We saw the dog bites and bitings and the holes and everything that Black America went through. And let me tell you something. We can't live there. We saw it happen, but we're not going to repeat it. We're not saying it was right. But through it all, something good came. We're here. We ain't got to go through it the way they did. They went through it so that we wouldn't have to. They made it better for us, whether you like to hear that or not. Black America. They made it better for us. Whether they did it the right way or the wrong way. They went down for it. But it disgusts me that some commentary was unnecessary. And they personal feelings towards Jesse Jackson. Jesse Jackson was the same age with my mother. They just a year apart. That meant something to me. And then him being at my graduation. And then I remember when he got in the scandal when he had his illegitimate child, his child out of wedlock. And I'm glad that his boy, Al Sharpton, stepped in the gap. And he did it the right way. We're going to pray for Jesse. He had held a prayer meeting at Canaan Baptist Church in Harlem. And I remember being there. I've heard about it. And back then, I used to get the Daily News, the New York Post, the Times. We didn't do the phone thing. I used to read the paper on the train as I go to work and coming home, whatever time, or on my lunch break or in the morning at my desk. I used to go through, me and some friends and my colleagues and whatever, co-workers. We used to get the newspaper and get all the juice. We used to get magazines about the celebrity stuff. That's how we lived. We didn't go around on, say, Facebook trashing them. We talked about it in our own social times together, or at lunchtime. We had these conversations about what happened on the Emmys, what happened on the Grammys, what happened on the music awards, all of that. We had our time to talk about it right then and there, in the presence of each other, out to lunch, out to dinner, going out for drinks, You know, that's how we did it. But anyway, back to what I said about Jesse Jackson. When his time, when he was in that stuff about his life, about his illegitimate child or whatever, which isn't illegitimate, it was a legal child. It was, if you read the Bible, nothing's illegitimate as long as two people both are adults enough to agree on what they did together and they both take responsibility. It's not legitimate because it happens. But anyway, Al Sharpton called that prayer meeting in Harlem on Canaan Baptist Church on 116th Street. And I made sure I got myself there. I wanted to see all, I wanted to, just be in the presence of my people, at a time like that. It was prayer meeting. And my church wasn't too far anyway, because my church was like a few blocks down, because that's where my family church was, in Harlem. So I stopped on my way home. And it was a beautiful prayer service. I mean, I love the liturgical dances. That's when it wasn't so big in church, but it was used during services like that. We was having something big in the community. And I was there, My heart was there. That was the most, my presence, my heart was there. And it was and Al Sharpton, he was on fire. He preached. He did a doggone good preaching sermon. And we also did our collection part. Of course, I gave. I didn't have a lot to give. I didn't get on the $100 line or the $50 line or nothing like that. But I got on the line where I could give something. Okay? I could give something. And it wasn't used to harm. It was used to help. Encourage our leaders. Encourage encourage Jesse Jackson at the time. His spirit was a little broken. And we were there to lift him up. That's how Black America did things back then. But now today, they so damn messy. Just like I don't even feel that Jamal Bryant deserved no award at the NAACP. I thought that was kind of messy. Don't you think so? I mean, come on. Don't just be rewarding people because you like them and they cool with you and they part of your fraternity and your little organization. No. There's plenty of pastors out there, ministries that are out there that are doing an absolutely phenomenal job in what they're doing for the community and what they're doing for lives every day. You couldn't go and search from some other church other than your own people you already know. You're going to go for the ones you already know and not the ones you don't know. The ones that do be out there in the streets doing whatever they do to call lives and souls to Christ, and they get people into their church and they transform their life every day. You mean to tell me the only person you could thought about was Jamal Bryant? He brings a lot of controversy, a lot of chaos. He brings a lot of messy stuff around the gospel. You don't mean to tell me y'all couldn't find a better somebody in the Black church to represent that is doing something that is phenomenal in the Black church? And you pick Jamal Bryant? That's not us. And that's the problem. These are the ones they keep promoting. And I had my word, and I said something about it. And I don't care who gets mad. I'm being honest. That's a disrespect, and it was totally a slap in the face to Black America, because not every Black American ministries is the foolishness that goes on in the Church of New Birth Missionary Baptist Church. Y'all pick somebody just because y'all like him, just because he's somebody that grew up. No, we don't do that. We got to do things in truth and in decency and in order. And he didn't deserve that award. That was a totally disrespect. There was plenty other ministries that are not that popular to the world, but they're popular to Christ because they doing the work. And that's who the people you should have shined the light on, not Jamal Bryant. Anyway, I got to get out of here, y'all. I just wanted to come here real quickly to teach us about respecting our elders in their story being told every day that they live. We don't have them here for very long, but each and every day, give honor to God. And thank God for them. Take it one day at a time, and you'll get there. God bless you. Love you. Peace.